Hey everybody, what is up today? Decided to actually make a video first of all. I think it's been a month or two since the last one that I've actually made, but I'm gonna do it now. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't had like too many video ideas recently. I'm trying not to like force stuff, and be honest, like YouTube's not really like a job to me or anything. It's just like something I like to do for fun on the side. But anyway, I think I have a worthwhile subject to talk about today, and perhaps one that may not be too popular at first, but well, I want people to hear me out. So in this video, I'm gonna kind of a challenge a view that we see as ordinary for competitions. And I want to say first and foremost, like I'm not advocating to change like the standard rules for MKU at all or anything, but my goal here is to open the mind of the viewers and like to perhaps show that we can try different stuff for like specific tournaments or like quick events. So I think while many people are quick to dismiss new ideas because it's not what like they're used to, I heavily urge that you guys hear me out on this one, on like the entire subject, because I think there's a valuable discussion to be had here. So in short, I believe that like initial reactions to this subject are going to be naturally dismissive, and perhaps with all things considered and watching the full video, maybe there will be more understanding on the point of view that I'm going to argue for. So first of all, I want to discuss the concept of parity. If you don't know, definition is like the sports definition at least is like pretty much about I guess it's kind of like dominance in like a league, and like if more than like just a few teams can really win. Like for example, I know that wasn't a good definition, but like just through like examples, if you look at the NBA right now, like the Warriors are like kind of expected to win by a decent amount at the beginning of every single season for like the last 3 years. That would not be an example of that would not be an example of lots of parity, I guess, in a league. Whereas the NFL, it's generally more different teams. So it's pretty much like the state of being equal, I guess. And when there's one team that always kind of dominates every competition, there's not a lot of parity, I guess. So in MK, I don't think we've always had the most parity, and that's pretty natural because like in a lot of like the American professional sports, they have a draft at the beginning of each season and where the weaker teams get like the better players out of college sports. And I think that's like to combat like dynasties from happening where like some teams are just unbeatable, and they don't always do it great. It's like not always a great job is done still, but like it helps a lot. But we don't have anything like that because we don't have a draft. We just make our teams and we accept people, so like it's much harder for teams to move around and move up. But regardless, like we still have teams like we still have different teams winning our competitions, which is good. But I think I think that RNG, I guess, is like our game naturally has RNG. That kind of messes a little bit with what we like. If there was like a definitive best team, I guess like sometimes the RNG can make it so they don't win anyway. So RNG kind of like creates more potentially more equality, but like you could argue it balances out, but like there's more variance, I guess. And variance is like another good thing. It generally means that more than like one team can generally win. I think that's probably a good thing. Like we want to have a healthy competition where teams are competing to win and not just having the same thing happen over and over again. So we're used to having matches of 12 races right now, and I'm going to point out that you can probably tell where this is going because of the title of the video, but a war or a match that has shorter length would have probably more varied results because there's less races to decide a match on, so each one's more important. And if like one race is determined by RNG, it'd be more likely that race has like an or like has a direct effect on the outcome of a match. So we'd have more varied results, which would probably have it would probably lead to more parity, with the trade-off being that we'd have more upsets. And I want to discuss if this is really a good or a bad thing. So the chance of luck deciding a match would go up a little if we had shorter matches. I want to say that like while like the initial reaction to that statement is kind of like one that would be like scared, I don't want to like say it's certain that's a bad thing. I want to like just kind of explore the topic. So I'm not saying to change the standard war size. I think that'd be ridiculous because it has worked so well. But like let's take a look at why we do 12 race matches to begin with. So if you want to argue like that 6 race matches can't work because of RNG, then why are we doing 12 races per match? Because we could do 18 races per match, we could do 24, we could do 48. Hell, we could do like 144 or something. Obviously, 144 would probably have a higher chance of the better team winning than just 12. But we obviously know that realistically, 12 races is like actually possible for a match. Like realistically, we know that 12 races is not enough either to always ensure that the better team wins, and we know that the issue here is that time is a factor. And I want you to hold on to the thought about like time because I think it's more relevant close to the later parts of this discussion. So obviously the point here is like we can't do like 144 race matches. That'd be absurd. We'd be playing all day and it'd be like terrible and nobody would want to play after like 12 probably. But anyway, I want to point out something else. If the goal of our competitions is to ensure that the team that we all think is the best wins every single time, what's the goal of the competition? Why do we compete if we think we know the result beforehand? Why not save our time and hand out trophies before events start? While I understand that we want the team who wins our competitions to earn it, like I agree with that completely. Like we want to have an event that's worth competing in at the end of the day. And if we were to host tournaments of 48 race matches, I don't think anybody would want to play. And if they would want to play, would they play again? Like maybe a one-time thing that could work, but I really doubt that like frequently people would want to play like every single track in matches. So I want to throw out the following statement, I guess. It is much easier for a team to outplay a better team in a 6-race trial than a 12-race one. And it's possible that RNG can be more decisive, sure, but it's also very possible that a team can just outplay a team in a 6-race span that normally would not outplay them in a 12-race span. Would a team not deserve to win a match just because it's a shorter match, even if they did outplay the opposition in those 6 races? Because I think if like we were to do like a 6-race match, maybe like a lot of the teams who would like get upset, I guess, would say, well, this is stupid. It's not skill based, because if we had 6 more races, if like we had a 12 race match, like, well, if we had a 12 race match and like we would win, we would come back, and yeah, maybe it's possible. Maybe a team would come back in races 7 through 12. But if the format were a shorter one to begin with, does that actually matter? So right now we use 12 race matches, like, and we use it as like definitive evidence almost. But every time there's an upset in our matches, would it be fair for the losing team to say we would have won if like we had 18 races? And no, it wouldn't be, because the format's 12. So we can't really use that argument for 6 either, because you could make the same excuse for 12. So really, like, everybody knows the amount of match or the amount of rounds going into a war. So like it's fair if you know what it is before things are starting. So I'm just gonna say I think 12 is a pretty dope number. Kind of has to be. It divides 2, 3, and 4. It's completely broken. Uber tier, S tier. But I think we're too quick to assume that's the definitive answer to everything. We don't even question it or anything. Like we just think that 12 is like the law of MK, and like that it couldn't possibly be like anything else. So do we have concrete evidence that it's the best number, or are we just used to it? Because I really think that we're just used to it. Like if I had to choose what I think our war sizes should be, like admittedly I'd probably say 12 also. I feel like it's a good amount to play. Like it's not too much, but it's not like too little. But it doesn't mean that we literally cannot try anything else ever. So why am I so persistent about like talking about like 6 or even 8 race wars in this video if I think that 12 is the best? And the answer is pretty simple actually, because I still think that lower sizes or even larger sizes can have value. So in the next part of this video, I want to explain the value that short matches could have in our tournaments. So in free-for-all already we have 8 race rounds, and nobody's ever questioned it yet. The reasons for this is simply because free-for-alls are long one-day events, and having 8 races around simply speeds up the process. Like you guys know how long like round 1 is generally. Like, can you imagine if it was like even longer, like a whole new set of 4 races longer? Yeah, it has more variance than like our normal events, and there's more salty upsets, even though some of it may be due to just being free-for-all as a format, but it's still an entertaining and enjoyable tournament setting. Like, and tell me this, as much variance as you've seen in a free-for-all before, have you ever seen someone win a free-for-all who like just isn't talented at the game? It's not like anyone can just win no matter how you change it, or like no matter what you can do with like the rules. So we have some great tournaments running in our community these days, and I believe we're in a good spot right now, but as many people will say, good can be the enemy of great if we become complacent, so we always want to look for ways to improve competitions. And right now, when I look at our team competitions, I see something that I believe like we could improve pretty drastically. So right now, as well as even more so in the past or traditionally, we've hosted team competitions like MKU or the WCL. And when we change formats, we often do it in ways like how Amplify is running right now. Now, I love the competitions, but there are some things that they leave to be desired. Like, I think like these competitions generally last for a few months, and they're like, I think for like long spanning tournaments, 12 race matches are great for it. It's just a once a week thing. Bring your best lineup. It's that type of thing. But historically, the issue is with these tournaments, especially MKU, is that these events leave a lot of teams hanging if they have a bad start, and a lot of people have dropped in the past. This is especially applicable to where HG is right now, actually, even though like when I was originally like coming up with this idea, like this wasn't the scenario yet. But I'll use HG as the example. Right now in MKU Season 5, we're down to 2-4 on the season, and it's almost certain that we're not going to be winning a title for this season. In Amplify, we got upset by World Friend, and we're in losers pretty early and have quite a run ahead of us. And while we're not throwing in the towel by any means, especially in Amplify, it does get demotivating. There doesn't feel like a lot of motivation for perhaps at least another month and a half for us now in competition, since we're likely out of contention for the events we're in. And we're above dropping in my mind, because that's just bad for the league and it ruins the integrity of competition. But I'd say we are striving for something new. And for many teams, and especially historically in World Clan League, teams have just dropped when they feel there's nothing to play for, and that just kind of ruins it for the teams that are still in the division. So if we had more events that were like shorter, more chill, weekend styled events, I think that'd be a lot of fun for many teams to have a new shot to take something home on any given weekend, really, instead of just having to wait like 10 weeks to have a chance to have like a tournament winning match or something extremely meaningful, really, I guess. So with a larger community right now, I think the quicker like 1 or 2 weekend styled tournaments could be a lot of fun, like we had in 2016. And want to know and the thing is, like, if you want to know like a great way to host successful like competitions in this way, we could just use shorter war lengths. Now, it's much more feasible to run events like this or FFAs as shorter rounds because there's more you can do each day. With many more different teams, spending less time on each match is like, it keeps a variety flowing, I guess, because you get to play more teams quicker, I guess. And generally, like, you think, well, yeah, it's a lot of matches, but like, well, no, it's really fun winning matches. And if the only way you're going to be playing so many matches is if you keep winning. If you're losing and like you don't feel like playing, it's very possible that like you're already out, so you don't have to like drop to just stop the competition. Like in MKU, like if you stop playing, like a lot of times you just drop, but like in some of these tournament formats, you're just out, and then like you can't drop because you're already knocked out. So like it's fine, it doesn't ruin the competition. So I think hosting tournaments that only take 1 or 2 weekends to complete would be like really compatible with shorter rounds. And the variance and unpredictability could honestly be extremely fun and perhaps give teams more chances to get hot in like a tournament, make a nice bracket run. In the past, we tried a few of these tournaments with 12 race matches back in 2016, and admittedly, a lot of teams that matched up against top teams would feel mismatched and completely demotivated. And I think shortening the rounds can do a lot to help us in these mismatch rounds. So teams will be able to have like a much higher chance to pull off a big upset. Well, it will still be pretty low, and like there are some teams that just won't be able to beat other teams because that's just normal. But it will give them a higher chance and perhaps more motivation if they do feel like they have a chance, if they only have to outplay a team for 6 races. And perhaps teams won't dread having to play a team that's like more than 2 divisions above them if like it's only like for a handful of races where anything can happen. And you know, if like it's going to lead to like potentially closer matches between a wider variety of teams. And you know, if the match does get lopsided and somebody's blowing somebody out, it'll be over much more quickly. So simply put, there's a lot of benefit to having this in earlier rounds. Perhaps it'd be really great to try out events where we have shorter rounds and then perhaps normal sized wars for like a top 8 only. I think these could be fun events that can motivate a lot of teams to sign up and see what they can pull off, because the results would not really be as static as we are normally. And being realistic, this likely doesn't even flip who wins the tournament at the end of the day. It just makes it more fun for each team involved, I think, because not many people like having like blowouts and stuff. I think non-favored teams feel like they have more of a chance in every match, and like maybe just showing up for 6, like you never know what could happen in like shorter matches. Like it can give a lot of motivation to teams that like otherwise would just be like, okay, let's get this over with. Why did we sign up for this if we're just gonna get matched up against JBZZ round 1? So you feel like you have more chances in every match. Blowout wins end much sooner, and you get to play a wider variety of teams because matches are going quicker, perhaps. And probably most importantly, we can finish one of these tournaments feasibly in a single weekend during an MKU offseason. So given all of this, I think running events that have some shorter matches, now I'm not saying like all of them, at least in the earlier rounds, could be valuable, and I think we should try it out. So I guess some questions for potential comments if anyone watched the whole thing like I requested. Would you be willing to try out some of these tournaments that I'm talking about? And would you prefer doing like 8 races instead of 6, or 6 or 8? Like, I personally think that 6 would be better for tournaments leading up to a top 8, I guess, because I think most of the matches are not close to begin with. And honestly, I think that kind of be a breath of fresh air in pacing. And like I said, like for the MKU style events, I think and even scrimmages for that matter, like yeah, like we should continue doing 12 races, I'll say. But I just want to kind of challenge the notion that we can't do anything else, I guess. Like, I think there's a lot of things in this community that like we're just kind of like used to, and as a result, like we're really like we're like really like, I guess, static about. Like, for example, like people like if like you don't 6v6, like 5v5 is not even an option for most people, including a lot of my teammates. It's like, I don't know, I feel like we could maybe like open up and try some new stuff occasionally. And I don't know, that was like a lot of the point of my last video too, of 200cc. So just keep an open mind is what I'm saying. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching as always, and I will get back to you guys sometime. I may do some non-MK stuff actually. Been playing a lot of games, kind of feel like reviewing some stuff. We'll see. Anyway, I'll see you all later, and thank you for watching. Later.